Time to start bolting on the suspension. With the lower control arms in place, I can now install the Bilstein coilover shocks. Now we can install the spindle and upper control arm. Here is a spindle with the brake cooling duct flange installed and a wheel bearing. Next, I have installed the rotors and the caliper mounting brackets. Next, I installed the calipers and brake pads. I just installed the front anti-sway bar. And interesting note, the original factory race car didn't use a front sway bar because it was so stiffly sprung that it didn't need it. But since this is going to be street driven, it's going to be a lot lighter springs. And that's the front suspension.
So I notice you're using coilover shocks. The Corvette doesn't use those. What is that? What made you choose to use that?
It makes the car more tunable at different racetracks, and in some cases like this, you're restricted to the room that you have to work with. So the leaf spring wouldn't have worked out on this.
How many times a year you think you're going to take this out and race it?
Probably only a few times a year.
Oh, come on.
We'll see how it goes.
Are you going to take it to any shows or anything like that?
Yes.
Okay. I've heard that you've won numerous awards for your paint jobs on your cars.
Yeah, I have.
And you've had lots of cars on the cover of magazines and...
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Which cars? Or which magazines?
Corvette Fever. Kit Car Illustrated. Kit Car Magazine.
Isn't there a new one that they just sent to the house that you didn't even subscribe for it and they just started sending you the magazine?
Reincarnation.
Yeah. Well, how many times has your car been in that magazine?
Tim Allen's car is Grand Sport.
Whoa! Tim Allen? What?
Yeah, I built a car for the actor Tim Allen as a Grand Sport, and it was used on the cover of Reincarnation magazine.
Tim Allen got a hold of you to build him a car.
Yep.
That is crazy.
Tim Allen tried buying one of the originals, but there was only 5, and he couldn't find anybody that wanted to sell. So he saw one of my cars in Auto Week for sale. Called the guy up, and the guy told him it was already sold, but he gave him my name and phone number.
Huh. I think your daughter actually talked to Tim Allen one time when he called the house.
She probably did.
Yeah. And isn't that like one of your all-time favorite actors?
Yeah.
So how was that you got a call? Did you believe it when he called?
No. No, I thought somebody was playing a joke on me.
What was it that finally made you realize, holy crap, this really is Tim Allen?
Oh, he just convinced me.
Oh, that's pretty awesome that you got to build a car for one of your, would you call him an idol? I mean, you still watch all of his shows. Tool Time.
Yeah. I love Tool Time.
I know. Yeah. Well, that's pretty awesome.
installing the shielding on the front of the tub. This shield will tunnel the air from the nose of the car towards the bottom of the tub. It will also support the framework to hold up the front clip. These slots on the front of the shield are removable so that I can service the rack and pinion. Here's the shroud with the cover plates installed. The 4-inch round tubes on either side are where the brake cooling ducts will run from the brackets on the spindles. I've installed the brackets for the shocks and the upper control arms. I've installed the upper rear control arms. I've bolted on the rear cradles, and now it's time to start bolting on the rear suspension. Lower control arms have been installed.
You think you're going to take this thing on the one lap of America again?
If I can talk Aaron Quine into it, I will.
Really?
Yes.
You'd do that again?
One last hurrah.
Huh. What? Tell me about your last one lap of America, because I remember you telling me that you guys were trying to. What is the one lap of America? Let's just start with that, okay?
Okay. Car and Driver used to put it on. It's basically 7 days of living in the car, hitting 2 different racetracks every day, and you get 3 laps, one to familiarize yourself with the track, the next one is a time lap, and then the third lap is just a cool down. So the only thing that really counts in the one lap is your race times on the different tracks. But you have to be at the track on time or you're penalized. Which brings me up to an interesting story. Aaron Quine and I running one lap of America in, I'm not even sure of the year, but we're doing it in a Grand Sport Roadster. And we decided to check into a motel to get a couple hours sleep because we thought we were closer to the racetrack than what we were. Well, the next morning we got up and realized we had a long distance to go.
How far?
That I'm not sure. But we were in Oklahoma, I believe downtown Tulsa, and it was rush hour traffic in the morning. We hop in the car. Aaron tells me, just sit there, don't say anything, hang on. I thought the way he was driving, we were either going to get killed or arrested. But we made it to the racetrack about 5 minutes late. So we were penalized 8 seconds onto our lap time, which is quite a bit of time. But Aaron, being Aaron, he actually beat the whole field, except I think the leader,
Wow.
by 8 seconds.
Oh my gosh.
So the 8 seconds that we were penalized, I believe, only put us in second place.
Holy crap. Wait a minute. So how did you guys get through traffic, through rush hour traffic, if it was like dead stopped on the highway?
When it was dead stopped, he was on the medium or driving down the right side of the highway.
And cops never messed with you guys?
We never saw any,
Oh.
which if we had and they had seen us, I'm sure we would have been in jail.
Oh my gosh. So how many races is it?
It was probably 16 different racetracks.
And you drive it's the one lap of America, so you drive all around the United States
Right.
to each track?
It started in New York at Watkins Glen. We ended up going, I think, as far west as Texas,
That's pretty cool.
and just hit a number of tracks in between. Another customer.
So is that your all-time favorite race memory?
Yeah, because we built this car and we had more than enough horsepower to do whatever, and Aaron could handle it. We went up to Michigan Speedway the week before the one lap started, and the engine blew up.
Oh, jeez.
So, running low on money, we came back, and the only alternative was we went to the local Chevy dealer and bought a crate motor and dropped in it. So we were down about 300 horsepower compared to the top guys. But Aaron did such a good job of driving that he made up for it.
Wow. Wow. You never told me that.
Yeah, he did. I mean, at Watkins Glen, the first event, they basically were staging the cars at what they thought was the fastest and putting the slower cars more towards the back. Well, Aaron had never been to Watkins Glen. They put him, I think, about 8th behind a Shelby Mustang. And I went up to the people putting the event on, and I told them, I said, you might want to put Aaron in front of that Mustang. I said, no, that guy's a pretty good driver. It'll be all right the way it's set up. So they were starting the cars off about 10 seconds apart. Well, I think probably in 20 seconds, Aaron had already caught the Mustang and passed it. I think he turned out to be like second or third fastest at Watkins Glen.
Wow. I remember you telling me about Aaron. He would get in other people's cars and say, oh, can I drive this around?
Oh, yeah.
And
Aaron would sometimes show up at a racetrack without a car and a track that he'd never been to before. And one of the other competitors said, this would be an autocross. they would say, you know, if you want, you can drive my car. And people from our club would come up to the guy and say, you don't want to do that. He'll beat you. And he said, no, he's not going to beat me in my own car. Well, Aaron would go out there, either set a track record or fastest time of the day or something in a car that he'd never been in, on a racetrack that he'd never been on. And the guy was just amazing.
That's awesome. That is. And Aaron's a great guy too, so.
Yeah. Been friends. I remember I used to race, you know, with his dad, and we'd be like tracks like Nelson's Ledges. Aaron, who was probably maybe 10 years old, would just sit there and watch. And when his dad would come in after making a run, Aaron would tell him where he could go faster.
Oh!
And his dad, of course, said, well, you know, you're not in the car. You don't know exactly what's going on. All you're doing is watching. Well, when Aaron turned 18, its first event was at Nelson's Ledges, and he either won his class or set fastest time of the day.
Wow.
And he also has many track records up there.
That's awesome. All right, so what all have you done so far on this car?
Well, I painted the tub, dropped the engine and transaxle in,
Uh-huh.
put the front suspension on,
Okay.
and the next step is to do the rear suspension.
Okay. There's the engine, the transaxle, and the cradle. Is that a cradle?
The lower one is the stock Corvette cradle.
Okay.
The upper one is the cradle that we fabricated for the upper suspension.
Okay, so you can't just buy that. That had to be specially made.
Right.
Okay. How did you know how to make that?
Well,
I mean, you had to fabricate it.
it was just taking measurements, drawing it out so that we could use the Bilstein coilovers on the rear and put the upper control arms in the right place.
Okay. I mean, this is pretty incredible, Dad. You are creating this car with no directions, and if you don't have a part, you have to figure out how to make it.
Right.
That's awesome. I don't understand why you don't think it's a big deal. I don't know why you don't think you're a big deal.
You're my daughter, you're supposed to think I'm a big deal.
No, you are. This is phenomenal. I can't wait to see this car once it's done. So the next step is the rear suspension?
Yeah.
Okay. Then what size tires are these going to take? Is this going to take?
The biggest ones I can fit in.
Huh. Do you have an idea on where you're going to get those tires? Or wheels?
Yeah, the wheels will come from a company in Florida called CCW. It's the closest I found that will look like the original BBS wheel that the car ran.
Okay. So do those have to be custom made?
Yes.
Yeah. Huh. What color are they going to be?
Gold centers
I knew it.
with polished aluminum outer rim.
Oh. Well, I'm excited. I'm excited to see what comes next. The car is beautiful. It's going to be even more beautiful once it's done. I'm blown away at everything you do.